titled The Rise and Fall of the Arab Spring, a Decade of Revolution. In late 2010, a wave of protests swept across the Arab world, sparking a revolution that promised to transform the region forever. From Tunisia to Egypt, from Libya to Syria, the Arab Spring was a beacon of hope. But what began as a call for democracy and freedom soon turned into a complex and often tragic story. This is the rise and fall of the Arab Spring, and the lessons we can learn from a decade of revolution. Segment 1: The Spark in Tunisia. Our story begins in Tunisia, where a single act of desperation ignited a revolution. Mohamed Bouazizi, a street vendor harassed by corrupt officials, set himself on fire in protest. His tragic death became a symbol of the oppression felt by millions, and it set off a chain reaction across the Arab world. In Tunisia, the people took to the streets, demanding the end of decades-long autocratic rule. Within weeks, President Ben Ali fled the country, and the first domino of the Arab Spring had fallen. Segment 2: The Revolution Spreads. Inspired by the success in Tunisia, protests erupted across the Middle East and North Africa. In Egypt, millions gathered in Tahrir Square, leading to the fall of President Hosni Mubarak after 30 years in power. In Libya, the uprising against Muammar Gaddafi escalated into a full-blown civil war, ending with Gaddafi's death. The Arab Spring seemed unstoppable. But while the revolution brought change, it also brought chaos. Each country's experience was different. Some saw the promise of democracy, while others descended into violence and instability. The hope of the Arab Spring began to fade as the realities of political transformation set in. Segment 3: The Bitter Aftermath. As the dust settled, the aftermath of the Arab Spring was far from what many had hoped. In Syria, the conflict turned into a brutal civil war, displacing millions and drawing in international powers. Libya descended into a state of anarchy, with rival factions battling for control. Even in Egypt, the brief experiment with democracy ended with a military coup, returning the country to autocratic rule. The dream of democracy turned into a nightmare for many. The power vacuums left by the fall of dictators were often filled by chaos, and the human cost was staggering. The Arab Spring had shown the power of the people, but it also revealed the complexities of building a new political order. Segment 4: The Lessons Learned. A decade after the Arab Spring, the region is still grappling with its consequences. While some countries, like Tunisia, have made strides toward democracy, others remain mired in conflict and repression. What can we learn from this tumultuous period in history? The Arab Spring teaches us that while the desire for freedom and democracy is universal, the path to achieving it is fraught with challenges. Building strong institutions, ensuring inclusive governance, and managing external influences are all crucial for a successful transition. The Arab Spring was not the end, but a new chapter in the long and difficult struggle for freedom in the Arab world. Conclusion: where do we go from here? As we look to the future, the legacy of the Arab Spring is still being written. The struggle for freedom and justice continues, and the courage of those who stood up against tyranny remains an inspiration. The question now is, how can the lessons of the past inform the movements of tomorrow? What do you think? Can the hopes of the Arab Spring be revived, or has the region moved in a different direction? Let's discuss in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that shape our world.